Hello people of the internet, this is KaijuNoir, here with a top 5 list concerning my favorite anime franchise, Mobile Suit Gundam. Ever since Bandai Entertainment closed in 2012, finding Gundam DVDs has become excruciatingly difficult since every single one of them has become a rare collector's item. For the last couple of years, the only DVDs that fans could afford, without sacrificing an arm and a leg, were bootlegs. A few years back, a company called Right Stuf Inc. obtained the distribution rights to the franchise. In 2013, they began releasing the most recent OVA at the time, Gundam Unicorn. However, it wasn't until last year when us Westerners got a few of the classic shows, with a Blu-ray release of the original 1979 series, as well as a DVD release for the criminally underrated Turn A Gundam, an anime that never received an official release or localization beforehand. With a new year upon us and potentially more releases down the line, I'd like to list off the Gundam shows that I want to see get brought to the States. I should point out though that this list isn't based off of my personal favorites. Instead, I chose the following shows based on what would most likely be accessible to both longtime fans and newcomers. So without further ado, let's get right into the top 5 Gundam series in need of new releases. Number 5. Mobile Fighter G Gundam. After the huge success of Gundam Wing's Western release, Cartoon Network decided to broadcast the franchise's previous outing, G Gundam. As the first series to take place in an alternate universe, the showrunners decided to take the series in a radically different direction that catered more towards the super robot crowd. Essentially, G Gundam was like Street Fighter meets Dragon Ball Z with giant robots. The premise was that each country would have a representative who would participate in a worldwide Gundam tournament every 4 years. The winning country of said tournament would gain control of the space colonies until the next competition. As a result, we have ourselves a diverse cast of characters, each with their own reasons for participating in the tournament, along with some of the most ridiculous and ridiculously awesome mech designs in anime history. While G Gundam is incredibly near and dear to my heart, the reason why I put it at the bottom of this list is because it doesn't accurately represent what Gundam has been mostly about, that being the hardships and personal struggles of war. Rather, the show features a straightforward narrative that revolves around a tournament, and an evil, world-threatening machine called the Devil Gundam. This show also gives no damns about being politically incorrect, and displays this attitude proudly. Personally, this makes the show even more enjoyable for me. But it may not work for everyone. Despite the show's faults, it's sure to please any fan of super robot and martial arts action, which is why I placed it at number 5. Number 4. Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team. Much like Gundam 0080, an anime I recently covered on this channel, the 8th MS Team is another side story that takes place during the events of the 1979 series. While Gundam 0080 focused on the civilian casualties of the 1-year war, this 12-episode OVA focused on the soldiers that were fighting on Earth in the jungles of Southeast Asia. Here, the titular 8th MS Team are faced with the task of fending off against the Zeon forces, as well as preventing the launch of Zeon's newest weapon, a giant mobile armor that can potentially change the tide of the war. The series also features a touching subplot involving 2 soldiers who get caught up in a Romeo and Juliet-esque romance where they begin to question the actions of their respective sides, as well as their own reasons for even fighting in the first place. This anime takes the intense guerrilla-style battles of the previous OVA and amps it up to 11, as our characters must do whatever is necessary to survive in this seemingly never-ending war. The 8th MS Team is a series filled with gripping suspense and showcases a peek into the lives of the grunt units that would have been cannon fodder in any other Gundam show. This is their story, and this was the hell they had to endure. Number 3. Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta. This choice was made with the more hardcore fans in mind, as Gundam Double Zeta is one of the few shows to have never gotten a Western release, despite being the third and final chapter in what I like to call the Universal Century Trilogy. The series takes place immediately after the events of Zeta Gundam, and was made to wrap up its loose ends. With the protagonists from Zeta Gundam being incapacitated, a new team of young and energetic youths join the fight against the newly resurrected Zeon army, thus creating the franchise's very first Gundam team. Gundam Double Zeta initially took the series in a more lighthearted direction, with a greater focus on comedy and formulaic battles that were reminiscent of super robot animes. However, by episode 20, the series kicks it into high gear, as our heroes are introduced to the true might of Neo Zeon, led by one of the most ruthless villains in the franchise, Haman Karn. At this point, the show continues the dark tone that was established by its predecessors. Gundam Double Zeta may not be as well balanced as its predecessors in terms of its plot and pacing, but it certainly builds up to a satisfying finale that brought an end to the classic era of televised Gundam shows. Number 2. Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. Now, of course, I can't bring up the original trilogy and not mention Zeta Gundam, a show that has been revered by fans as one of the best, if not the best entry in the entire franchise. Taking place 7 years after the original series, the Earth Federation has now been corrupted by the Titans, a military division that was established to hunt down the remains of Zeon, as well as to prevent further colonial uprisings. As a result of their ruthless and fascist grip on the colonies, a resistance called the Anti-Earth Union Group lead the rebellion against the Titans. So yeah, in a way, Gundam attacked on Titans before it was cool. While the original 1979 anime established the foundation of what is now called the real robot genre, Zeta Gundam perfected these tropes. This was due to the fact that the series was no longer being restricted by its producers, nor was there such a large focus on selling brightly colored toys to children. While the original series got pretty dark at times, Zeta Gundam took this tone to a whole new level, especially when it came to its death toll. This solidified Yoshiyuki Tomino's kill-em-all reputation when it came to his style of storytelling. In a way, he was like the George R.R. Martin of his time. Zeta Gundam served as the perfect follow-up to one of the most influential animes ever made, with a story that further expanded the Gundam universe, diverse mobile suits that now had the ability to transform, and a well-written cast of old and new characters alike to continue the saga. Number 1. New mobile report Gundam Wing. If any of you grew up watching Toonami back in the day, you probably saw this one coming from a mile away. While it may not be the best anime that this franchise has to offer, Gundam Wing was the series that single-handedly brought Gundam to the West. This smash hit followed 5 young Gundam pilots who each carried out specific missions in order to systematically cripple the Earth government that controlled their colonies. The situation eventually escalates when numerous political factions take advantage of the chaos as they scheme, backstab, and ally with one another in a race for power, glory, or peace, which makes the fight all the more difficult for the Gundam pilots. Gundam Wing's greatest strength, and perhaps its biggest weakness, is its abundance of characters, each with their own unique outlook on life, as well as the motivations that drive their actions. Unfortunately, not everyone gets an equal amount of spotlight, which leads to a few underdeveloped characters. Luckily, those that do get their time to shine are able to show the complexities of the situation they're in, and how everything is not always as clear-cut as they seem. Also, this series features some of my favorite mobile suit designs in the franchise, including, but not limited to, the Death Scythe Hell, Epion, Ultron, and the Wing Zero. Gundam Wing was unlike anything Western audiences had seen at the time, and was probably the best way for newcomers to have gone into Gundam back in 2000, especially for 8-year-old KaijuNoir, as the overpowered and super robot-esque Gundams immediately brought to mind the Megazords. Nowadays, I normally recommend the original 1979 series as the jumping point for newcomers. However, this series does more than enough to entice new viewers who happen to have grown up with the show way back when. Now, I know there is still a lot of love for Gundam Wing, and if Right Stuf Inc. is able to capitalize on that nostalgia, then the fans will surely go for it in droves, which will give both groups the incentive to pursue further Gundam releases. With that said, I hope you've enjoyed this list, and if you'd like to see more top 5 or top 10 videos in the future, please let me know. Also, if you have any Gundam shows that you'd like to see get a Western release, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time everybody, take care.